Tim, 5-0 this summer, all in 4 days. You couldn't have asked for a better summer, I imagine.
No, not really. I think if you win 5 home tests in a row, you've done a lot right. Wasn't just the 5 wins. I thought it was the manner in which we did it, the style of cricket, the brand of cricket we played. I think we can all be really proud of what we've done the last 5 test matches.
What are the missing pieces in this team, if there are any, that you guys can improve on?
I think the moment we don't think we can improve, we're going to be in some trouble. So we've certainly, all as individual players, can improve and get better. If we can all do that 2, 3, 5%, then we're going to be a better cricket team again. So we're always talking about that every day, trying to get better. We've seen some really good examples of that this summer. I think Mitch Starc has worked on some things, come back a better bowler than he already was, and he's already an exceptional bowler. Marnus Labuschagne in the last 12 months has gone from a player, I think, his selection was doubted, to a top 3 player in the world. Travis Head just came off a Boxing Day 100. Matthew Wade's come back and added some real toughness and some grit and some energy to our team. James Pattinson the same. So, we're wrapped with what we've done. We're still improving. We've got lots of upside as a team. In terms of what we can add to it, as I say, I think we've got lots of options. The squads we've picked during the summer, we feel like we've got a lot of bases covered and a lot of flexibility. So I think at the moment we're in a pretty good place, but as I said, we've still got lots of improvement in us.
Tim, you clearly would have talked about wanting to dominate this summer at the beginning of it, but if it had been put to 5 4-day tests, passing 400 comfortably each time, and the way the bowling attacks come together, has it exceeded your expectations for this summer?
No, not really. I think I came into this summer expecting to win all 5 tests. I think that's the way we've got to think. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, I think, but as I said in the post-match interview, I think now we've got a team together that is really consistent. We've got a number of match winners with both bat and ball. And our lesser players, if you like, have improved a hell of a lot in the last 12 months. So we've become a more consistent team with more contributors. And, when our best players have missed out with the bat, someone stood up and scored runs. When Starkey or Pat haven't taken early wickets, then Josh Hazlewood and James Pattinson or Nathan Lyon have come on and taken key wickets. So, as I said, we're becoming a really consistent team. We've probably been more ruthless, which is a really good sign and something we wanted to be after we let some opportunities slip in England in the Ashes. And as I said, we've got some real match winners. So we've got great quality throughout our side, and it's an exciting team to be a part of.
Tim, at the end of the last summer, you said that how every time you were going into the nets, you were thinking about England. And you've already spoken about the bigger picture being the World Test Championship. But are there any shorter-term goals that you're obsessing about this year, or that the summer is over?
Firstly, Bangladesh. I think every time you go to the subcontinent, those series are very, very hard to win. We've got our eye on that. We've obviously got our eye on next summer as well, which... if we go to Bangladesh and play well and get some wins over there, then you come back to Australia playing India. It's a pretty mouth-watering series, I think, for players and for fans. So it's hard not to be looking at that. And as I said, we've probably got some people that are employed in Cricket Australia that are already looking ahead at that series. But I think for the main playing group, our next goal as a group is Bangladesh, and you certainly can't take that lightly. As I said, every time, I think we went there before and won a test and lost a test. So, and all the reports from the guys who went there was that it was a really, really challenging place to play, particularly the time of year we're going to be there. So, we've got a good break where guys can freshen up, and then IPL, county cricket to get ready for that series. And some of us, I suggest, would probably be staying at home and having a long while off, and then getting into it in May.
Thank you. Tim, did it surprise you in the end just how big the gap was between your side and the Kiwis?
Look, I think sometimes the winning margin can look better than what it was. I think this test match was exceptionally hard for the Kiwis when you have 5 guys out sick, and it's the end of a long tour, and they've already played against England, so they've had a long summer. we sort of spoke about that with the swap over of the guys that were sick. We thought if we could start this test match well, that we might be able to break them earlier than we had in the other tests. But certainly I thought in Perth and Melbourne, when we thought we had them, they kept coming or they clawed their way back into the game, and that's what we expect them to do. We still think they're a quality side, and obviously 3-0 looks like it's very one-sided. But as I said, the test matches and my night's sleep would suggest otherwise. I think most of the time they were very hard fought, and whether we scored a big first innings, they seemed to then take wickets in our second innings and get themselves back in it, or at least put us under a bit of pressure. So I thought it was a pretty hard fought test series, and as always, I thought the two teams played it in really good spirit.
Sorry, Tim. Obviously, Dave came off a pretty tough Ashes campaign and come back and had one of the best summers we've seen. I mean,
yeah.
A, was there ever a second where you were concerned about whether that was possible? And B, did he come back more determined than what you've seen him in the past or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I think Dave, anyone who knows him and's been around him in the cricket team knows that how determined that he is to score runs. And when he gets going, he normally goes pretty big and gets on a roll. And I remember talking before the Pakistan series, or before that was even picked when we came back from England. His record as an opening batter is amazing. He had 4 or 5 bad tests in England, which can happen, particularly as an opening batter. But I think he's 80 odd before that proved that he's a pretty class player, and the 50 or so that he's played in Australia, his record is phenomenal. So we knew if he got in and got one score under his belt that the runs would flow for him, and as you touched on, when they start to flow, he's hungry and he keeps on getting them. So I thought the innings that he played today and yesterday was on that wicket was unbelievably good.
If I could just go a second one, you mentioned India. It's rare that Australia hosts the same team twice in the space of 3 summers. I mean, is it almost a good thing in some ways, though, given what happened last summer, that you get another crack at them so soon and sort of in some ways try and make a bit of revenge for it?
I certainly won't be looking at it as revenge. We're certainly a different side than what they played against here last year. And there's more at stake. There's Test Championship points at stake. And I think both of the two teams, Australia and India, are eyeing off that final. So every point's going to be critical. So, I think if we can continue our upward trend that we've shown in the last 12 months, I think you're potentially looking at the top couple of sides, or 2 teams are in the top 3 or 4 in the world. So it's going to be an awesome series. Even being in Australia, I think they showed last year, now they've got a pace battery that is going to be every bit as threatening as ours. So it's going to be one to watch.
Tim had a bit of a bizarre incident today with being docked 5 runs. David looked, particularly upset about the decision.
Yeah.
What did you make of it? Did you think
I wasn't quite sure what was going on at the time, and only saw it really quickly. And the footage that I saw on TV looked okay. It looked like he would hit the ball and tried to get off as quick as he could. And one of the umpires obviously saw it differently. But we'll wait and see what comes of it. I didn't see too much in it, and it certainly wasn't David trying to do that on purpose or a directive from our side. The wicket was breaking up as it was. It didn't need to break up any more than what it had. We'll wait and see what comes of it.
Tim, when you think about sort of last year where you were at the end of this test and the year that had gone before, and now where you are, can you give us a sense of the difference in feeling and where you are sort of as a captaincy at the end of this year compared to this time last year?
Obviously a lot happier. I'd say last year I was still, I thought, quite optimistic though, and realistic. I think we had some quality players out of our team, and I remember saying at the time, had you have taken 2 of India's best batters out of their side, I think the result would have been the other way around. But I think we spoke a lot about last year about there being a silver lining of what has happened. The guys who got opportunity to play Test cricket last year who probably wouldn't have. One of them's man of the series and has scored the most runs, or the second most runs ever in a calendar year. And Travis Head's, still averaging 45, maybe more in Test cricket. And they wouldn't have got the opportunity last year that they had have got. So, that's what it's about. It's about learning. I think the guys have come back better players. And I think our whole group and whole organisation has learned a lot from the last 18 months. And just the vibe and energy around our team and around cricket in the country has completely changed. So for us as players to be a part of sort of swinging that around is really satisfying.
Tim, there seems to be, I think, two words that have kind of described the Australian team this summer have been ruthless and relentless. Maybe something that wasn't really there last year with a pretty young group. Could you talk us through how you've gotten the team back to that point? Is it just a confidence thing, or is there been a decision?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of confidence and a bit of belief. I think at times in England, I think every team's always trying to be ruthless. I think at times in England when the big moments came up, if anything, we tried too hard. And let the emotion of the game take over us executing our skills. So I think with confidence and belief in your teammates that when those big moments come, we now focus on purely on executing my role or whoever's bowling, Mitchell Starc or Marnus batting. It's about doing your role for the team and executing as normal, and the teams that can do that win those big moments. As I said, there was probably periods of the Test series against India and in England that we should have capitalised on, but I think through wanting it too much or trying too hard or putting too much pressure on ourselves, we let some opportunities slip. So confidence, learning from it, experience, having some experienced Test players come back into our side, help younger players through those moments has certainly helped.
There was a lot of talk coming into the Test match about getting the SCG pitch back to its sort of old character. How did it play, and do you think they achieved that? Yeah,
I think so. I think it spun a long way, which was nice. I think that's what we always want to see here in Sydney. So I thought it was a pretty good Test week. I think our quicks would like to see a little bit more bounce, if anything. But again, to get a result and hundreds and fifers normally says that it's a pretty good cricket pitch. So I think again, similar to Melbourne, I think the good players scored runs and the good bowlers took wickets. So
was it better than the last couple of pitches here?
I thought last year's was okay from memory as well. I don't think I've played on too many bad ones here. The one before, I've only played 3 Tests here and they've all been pretty good wickets. So I think this one spun more. This is more like I remember it when I was sort of young in Shield cricket, when New South Wales had McGill and Horrocks and guys like that, and it spun miles, and we'd come from Tassie and never seen anything like it. So, I like that characteristic. I like that Australia, again, is getting wickets around the country that have all got their own characteristics, and I think that's going to make our domestic players better because we have to play in all different conditions around our own country. So, being able to adapt to that is a sign of a good player.